Another top headlines, fake and staged. That, at least, was the verdict of Russia's envoy to the UN over the latest alleged chemical attack in Syria. Reports over the weekend claimed dozens had died in the city of Duma after chlorine gas was dropped on the area. An emergency session of the Security Council on Monday sparked a war of words.
Following the liberation of Duma from rebel fighters, Russian specialists were sent there, specialists in radiological, chemical, and biological protection, to collect evidence and information. They took soil samples which show the lack of nerve agent and chlorine-containing substances. In interviews, not a single local resident confirmed the chemical attack having taken place. Bodies of people killed by chemical agents have not been found, and medical personnel and residents have no information about their potential burial areas. Therefore, the use of sarin and chlorine has not been confirmed.
Russia said it wants an independent body to set up to investigate reports of the attack. The move won the backing of the UK. RT's Caleb Oppen has more on what was said during the session.
As the 15-member body convened and we had a meeting of the UN Security Council, we heard first from the representative of the Russian Federation. He went on to talk about the fact that anti-government fighters, terrorist groups like al-Nusra and others, there have been occasions in which territory has been liberated from them, and it's been discovered that they are stockpiling chemical weapons and that they have in the past used chemical weapons against the positions of the Syrian government.
You heard the warnings, but you consciously ignored them because they didn't correspond to the doctrinal arrangements of those who sleep and dream about the liquidation of the official government in one more Arab country.
From there, we heard from Nikki Haley, the representative of the United States. She went on to blame the Syrian government for the attack, and from there she said that the United States intends to respond to this alleged chemical attack, regardless of whether the UN Security Council approves of that or not. She says that the USA intends to take action. Now, her remarks come after Donald Trump said the USA was in the process of making some big decisions regarding the chemical attack in Duma.
What are your options?
Thank you. What the options? Thank you.
We have a lot of options militarily, and we'll be letting you know pretty soon.
U.S. military action, is it off the table as of the
Nothing's off the table. Nothing's off the table.
Can you rule out taking actions, launching airstrikes against Assad, Mr. Secretary?
I don't rule out anything right now.
Now, Debenzia pointed out that when Donald Trump said that nothing was off the table in regards to Syria and action that he might take, these words sound very dangerous. The implications of possible aggressive action from the United States in Syria could be very severe, and that the whole world should be deeply concerned about this kind of rhetoric and this kind of language coming from the Commander-in-Chief of the United States.
The U.S. delegation echoed the statements of President Trump during the Security Council meeting and even left the hall as the Syrian envoy began to speak. We discussed the latest crisis in Syria with retired U.S. Army General Paul Vallely.
I think it's clear it either happened or it did not happen. And if it happened, there has to be proof that it did. And the idea of an investigation team going in, complemented by Russian investigators, several distinguished members, not politicians, of the international community, to be chosen to go in and validate one way or the other. It's either true or it's not true, but someone needs to get to the bottom of it because the Syrian government, of course, is being blamed for it. And we've heard stories about Al-Qaeda or other rebel groups, being able to gather in some of these chemical or biological weapons, specifically sarin gas. But it's obvious it's happened in the past. The question is, this time, who did it?
Almost exactly one.
Well, we also spoke to Ron Paul, a former presidential candidate and a chairman of the Institute of Peace and Prosperity.
Most of the time when a crime is committed in this country, the stations, when they're not sure, they're careful. They say this is alleged, but they never do this under these circumstances, and they have zero bits of information. It's over and over again that the person is guilty, and that is the person is the Russians and the Syrians are guilty of a crime, and it goes over and over again. But did that to the Skrepels, and then they finally had to give up. Then nothing came panned out, so they had to go on to a new one. So as one runs out of steam, they create another fake news program. I think the least likely would be Assad. This whole idea, Assad, and it's over and over again. I probably heard it 10 times today. Assad is gassing his own people, and they've said that every time it happens, Assad, and then a month or two later, they prove that was absolutely wrong. So I cannot see any reason why Assad would do this. There's no reason for Russia to have done this. There's somebody who wants to stir up trouble, and the people who want us to stay there.